Welcome back to Bevs with Celebs. This is part 2 of my interview with Nick Polovineo. If you haven't already, head back to part 1 before watching. Cheers! But taking a different direction now, you decided to leave Lime last year. What sparked that decision?
A bunch of things. As we were just saying, touring is a lot. It's a hard way to live. And I think for me personally, I started missing out on more than what I was getting. When I was younger and when I was really into it, I was getting a lot more than I thought I could have been getting outside of it. But by living that lifestyle, there's things you're implicitly saying no to, which is being able to be at your friends' birthdays or babysit your nephew or do other creative projects or just be around for people and to just to be in a place for longer. That was a really big thing for me. It was like I was never going to tour forever. There's too much music I want to play with too many different people, and there's too many other life experiences within music and outside of music that I want to have. So it was kind of like there's a time when I'll do other stuff, and the time came. Yeah.
Did it basically come down to that feeling of needing a sense of home or a stable place to come back to?
It was largely that, but it was also like I needed to do something that was more myself, with me at the helm and me making the decision and me kind of feeling like I was steering my ship a bit more. With a band, you're often told like where you'll go, when, what we'll do. You often don't have much warning. You don't know what next year looks like until you get an email saying you'll be here for 3 months, then here, then here, then here. And you sort of have to. And I started thinking more and more about like if I was in charge of my time, what would I do? And I just got excited at the idea of, having more stake in my own decisions.
And how was that received by the band, the decision to leave?
It's an emotional thing, it's full of shock for people, for a lot of people, for Ollie and Lou, and then there's crew that I was, or am such good friends with, and people in my life. Shock, but I think respect of the decision. And look, if people care about you, they're just happy for you to do things that you think are best for you, even if it affects them.
And have you found that people assumed there was drama surrounding the situation?
People don't really want to go near it because I guess they're not sure. Or I guess. I don't actually know. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And are you still friends with Ollie and Louie?
Yeah, look, I haven't seen them in ages, but they've been overseas for it. This is the thing with touring, right? You drift from your friends. Like this was another big thing for me is I realized one day that the people who I called my close friends, I don't think they'd call me their close friend. Because you miss birthdays and you don't hang out, and then you stop getting asked to hang out because everyone assumes you're away. And when you really think in the future, you need your friends,
Yeah.
So, but I know what they're up to and stuff, yeah.
And I guess it's relative for you because you're seeing your friends back home the most when you are back home, but they're not seeing you on the times you're touring.
Totally. Yeah. They work with your schedule, Yeah. And often when I was home, you'd be home for like a month and you'd be really tired. So you think, well, I need to sleep, be alone, wash my clothes, see my parents, and then you go away, Yeah. Yeah.
Have you rekindled a lot of those friendships since pulling back from the band?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been so amazing. There's just some friends that I've been able to just see all the time and just feel closer to. Even if you talk to someone the same amount, just something about knowing that you're, in terms of distance, closer to them just makes it feel nicer. Yeah, I have. I mean, even I've seen my parents so much and my brother and totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And now you're at Rumble Studios.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Rumble Studios is an awesome place. It is a place full of sound designers and audio engineers and screen composers who work on film and TV and advertising, and it's a fantastic place to work.
And you and Felix joined Rumble Studios, was it the same time?
We did. Basically, after Lime, we were like, cool, we need to work, let's do something within music, let's do something cool. Maybe let's try to explore a side of music where you can have a contract and a salary and you can get sick leave and you can get super and you can, just as part of wanting to like commit to being in a place for longer, it was like, let's settle a bit and think ahead a little bit. So it's hard in music to find those jobs. I think there's barely any. A reliable income in a place you enjoy where you're doing something you really love with people you love. It's hard. So we hit this place up and we started doing some freelance work, and basically they said there was one full-time job going. And we said, can we act as one person, which we often do, but sort of alternate days? And they said yes. So
Wow.
we just, they call us and/or, and they don't know who's coming in that day.
Really? So you organize it between yourselves?
Yeah. It's
and
flexible.
You just split it down the middle? Like,
yeah, I'll go, hey,
money-wise?
you do tomorrow, I'll do the day after. Or if you've got a gig, I'll do that day. Or if you're
Yeah.
going away or whatever. Yeah, basically.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
Was
Great.
it hard to maintain a steady income with the band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big part of leaving as well. It's like, I can't live off this, and I don't really have a meaningful stake for this moving forward. Look, I'm not like a money motivated person, but we live in the world. So
Yeah.
it was. And
In
often,
the Sydney economy.
totally, right? And between tours, it's hard to pick up work for like 6 weeks when you're about to go away. There's not really jobs you can just do that. So yeah, I mean, it's always part of the conversation for musicians because it's a hard thing getting by.
Yeah. And
know?
the arts. I feel
The
like
arts
it's
in
such
general, it's really hard. And I mean, even further than the arts, but especially the arts, there's a combination of them being low paid and the lack of work that's like regular and formal or contract or whatever. Yeah, it's a hard thing in the arts. It really is.
because I've seen that so many times where musicians, they enjoy what they're doing, but they don't have a livable wage.
Yeah, I mean, early on in touring, I was doing a lot of laboring between tours, but that starts being really hard on your body and on your mind. It's totally a thing. And I think people don't realize how many of the artists they listen to that they assume are making heaps of money because they're popular. How many of those people just have day jobs and work or don't monetize what they do at all? There's also heaps of problems within the music industry. There are labels and management, and there are things set up totally against the artist that are the norm that make it a lot harder. And I was keen to not be involved in a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it too controversial, but was there one aspect of music that made it particularly hard to earn money?
As soon as a situation has a lot of people, things become complex. Just as a general statement. When everyone wants money and there's not lots of money going around, I think it's hard. I think touring and festivals, I mean, people kind of know this, but like touring is expensive. Festivals have a lot of overheads, gigs and have a lot of overheads. Things get more expensive every year. It's really hard for bands. Bands usually don't own their own music. There are ways that labels and stuff work that I think suck. And often when you're in that popular sphere, you're not really allowed to express it. But I am just someone that loves music and no one owns me. So I'm allowed to just say, yeah, I think there's so many things about how the arts work that just seem unfair and nonsensical to me, but they make a situation where you don't have a choice.
Yeah. And I guess that's the tough reality of it, really.
Yeah, totally.
And bringing it back to Rumble Studios, what's your day-to-day like?
Day-to-day, roll in, talk to everyone, make a coffee, and then write music. So I sit in a studio and I might be working on a 60-second commercial. So I'll get a brief and someone will say they want music like this. Maybe it's a classical thing. Maybe it's solo piano. Maybe it's a trap beat. Maybe it's indie rock. Maybe I'll get a few references to be inspired by. And then basically I just sit in a room alone and I write the music.
So is it more instrumental production rather than lyrics?
It really depends. This is what I love about it. It's really broad. You're doing a different thing every day. Sometimes it's lyrics. Sometimes you're playing a lot of instruments. Sometimes you're programming and it's more electronic. You're mixing and mastering the music. Sometimes you're recording other people and the turnaround's really quick. Often you get a job in a few hours, it's kind of gone, which is very different to music where sometimes an album is taking years to be released, you know.
What's your favorite project that you've worked on at Rumble Studios so far?
There's been a lot. I did an ad for the AFL that I really loved because it referenced bands like the Chats. And I got to play like scratchy, loud guitar music, which when you're doing it at work, you feel lucky. I guess I've always had that feeling, but that was really fun. But then sometimes we did a job for the government for like a road safety awareness campaign and I hadn't written for strings in a while. And I really like doing that just because it's different to what I was doing the last few years. Yeah.
Where do you get people in who can mimic the sound of the Chats?
Well, I just did it. Like I just plugged a guitar in and played a bunch of scratchy music. Scratchy in a good way.
Yeah.
And then got my friend to record some drums.
Did you get vocals?
I just did it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're a Chats
I mean, we toured with them a bunch and I know those guys and it's within a style, right, of punk music where it's not, you don't have to be, it's not about accuracy. I say this full of respect. I love that music. It's not about accuracy. It's a different thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can have a go.
Give it a go and see what comes out the other end.
Totally.
Yeah. And are you creating solo music right now?
I have been working on a bunch of solo music very slowly.
And how is it going?
It's going good in terms of I've had fun writing it. I'm slow to release. I get pretty nervous about it. I get pretty down on myself about it. But I enjoy the process and I learn a lot. But it's a low pressure thing. I just like making the music.
Do you think you're a perfectionist and that's where that part of yourself comes in, where you start thinking about it and getting down about it?
Maybe. I don't know. It's weird because my musical values for other music I listen to is really different to my own. Like I love mistakes and imperfections and raw human sounding things, but then I don't like them in myself.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
I think also just, if you're writing really honest emotional music, then it's like I'm a fairly private person, but it's like putting every intense thing you've felt, not just making it public, but actually going on Instagram and telling people to listen to it, which is, I find you have to promote your music, but I find it uncomfortable.
It's kind of drawing into that tall poppy syndrome that we have here in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
It's, if you're putting yourself out there, you're like, oh no, I can't do that kind of feeling.
Yeah. It's like, do I really believe that people should listen to this when they could listen to like any album that was ever made or read any book ever? It feels strange to really press people to listen to my music because ultimately I don't mind if they listen to it or not, Yeah, I find it uncomfortable.
What's the production side of it like solo versus when you're in a group like Lime?
There's no budget. You do a lot of it at home. So the last batch of music I released, a lot of it was done in bedrooms of share houses I lived in. My friend Kieran helped produce and mix, and he often was doing things when I was away on a tour bus. And I hadn't spoken to him for months. He was just chipping away at it, making a lot of creative decisions for me, which I loved. And then I just get my friends to record in wherever we can go that day. And it's really nice. I guess there's also like, there's no label, there's no pressure. There's no timeline except the timeline that I put on it. There's no public waiting for it. No one's really going to have an opinion on it. So it's very freeing, but the trap is it can take forever.
Is there a favorite song that you've produced at the moment that people can look forward to that you can plug right now?
It's funny because even just saying it makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, there's things I've written that I think are like not the worst. But
maybe we should make people wait to listen.
It's just that like all my friends basically are amazing musicians that I'm like, so in awe of. And I'm so glad that I've gotten to play with the people I've gotten to play with, because it's like you want to be with people that are pushing you. But it's hard to have like a really healthy self-esteem in music a lot of the time. I released a song like, I don't even know, a couple months ago called Dreaming that I like.
How does your sound differ from Lime sound?
I think the Lime sound is more generally more positive. It's more extroverted and it's more like dancey and groovy. I think it works amazingly at like festival sets during the day. The music I release, it's often pretty dreary. It's pretty depressing. I think my values with music, I'd rather be like moved than I would be made to dance most of the time. And I would rather listen to music that sounds better in the rain than on a sunny day.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Was there a song from Lime that you really like?
Heaps.
Heaps.
And there are songs I like listening to and there are songs I like playing, sometimes for reasons where I just like the part that I play in that arrangement. I mean, I like On Our Own, I think is a great song. And I really liked playing Pedestal. And I loved playing Colin. But even then, I'm naming more like introverted or more sort of ballady things within like the pool of Lime songs, because I just lean towards like softer music generally.
Are there any artists that you draw inspiration from?
There's a million. Everything.
Everything?
The sound of the bird. I mean, if I just riff some off, I love Radiohead. It's like a joke with all my friends and family how much I love Radiohead. Yeah. I love Sting. At the moment, I love Sting. I've been listening to McGee. I think everyone's been listening to McGee. I saw MJ Lenderman recently, which was awesome. I love a lot of jazz music. I love a lot of ambient music. I read a lot of poetry. Yeah, there's heaps.
Do you still go back to that jazz sound or your jazz roots when you're creating songs?
Yeah, all the time. I think there's a process of jazz music where it doesn't always sound like that, but there's a way you write music. Yeah, I do. I guess like a general palette. You know, I like pianos a lot. I like certain guitar sounds. I like certain note choices. I like horns. It's like definitely sort of in my like musical DNA. It's a huge chunk of it. Yeah.
Do you have any future plans going beyond Rumble, beyond music you're creating right now, or are you sticking to it and seeing where it takes you?
I love working at Rumble and screen composing is really new to me, and so I want to do as much of that as possible. I don't really make long-term plans because sometimes it's more like life is just unfolding in an unpredictable way, and I try to be flexible with it. I've never known what's happening 3 months ahead, literally 3 months ahead or a year ahead, ever. So I just relax in the knowledge that it is unplannable. I rather set really short-term goals and go hard on them. So at the moment I'm writing another EP, sort of just finishing up a bunch of songs, planning to record it soon. I've been trying to write a lot of poems. Maybe within 3 years I'll try to release some of that. Otherwise, no, I have no idea.
What would that look like, releasing poems, a book? Or just online blog posts?
I don't know.
That look like?
I don't know. Maybe a book. Be nice to have a book because you can give your mum a book. You know, she might not go on a blog.
Nice
a blog's
Mother's Day
a
gift.
thing? I don't know. Do people go on blogs?
Maybe not anymore. I don't know what the go is. Maybe Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah, which they're not the best formats for like poems, I think, where you read them very slowly and deliberately. I'm not sure anything is a good format for that anymore.
It's a fast world.
It's a fast world. And if you're a slow person, it can be stressful, you know? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't really plan. I'll just think I want to do this and then I'll do it until I don't want to do it anymore. I heard Tim Minchin say this. I heard Tim Minchin say that his career has been just a series of short-term goals. And I thought that was really good because long-term goals, they can get away from you. You know, there's this Goldilocks thing of like the porridge being not too cold or not too hot or whatever, where it's like if I plan something in the too short term, maybe it's not like the best thing I could achieve, but if I plan something that's too far away or too ambitious, I might give up or just not make it. So I think I've learned with myself, 6-month plans are pretty good. I can do that.
Chunks at a time.
Yep, totally.
And now going back for the final question, what was your favorite Lime Cordiale moment?
Oh, I mean, I mentioned that Colin Hay gig, like as a whole moment, that was really amazing.
Yeah.
In 2019, we did the first Europe tour we've done, or we did, where we just got in a van for 7 weeks and drove ourselves around. That whole thing, like I remember just landing, I think we flew to Amsterdam. We did. And just landing and getting off the plane, it was one of those moments you're giddy like a child. You know, when your mum says you can sleep over at your friend's house and it's the best thing that's ever happened. I kind of had that feeling because, you know, you're young and you've worked really hard at music and you get to a point where you're about to do it overseas with your friends. It's unbelievably exciting. Yeah. So probably that first one.
Was there a time from that trip or like a story that you can finish up on to share with the audience?
It's so hard to remember. This is not like even a positive story necessarily, but I just remember one morning, halfway through the tour, no one was sleeping. There were long drives, like 8 hours a day long. And I remember we just stood next to the van and it was so early, it was still dark. And someone said, "Who's going to drive?" And I reckon it was like 10 minutes of everyone just staring at the ground, being still, because no one wanted to offer and no one wanted to offer someone else, but no one wanted to drive. That's just what I remember. It's not a positive story. It's not really negative either. I just remember. It just stuck in my head. I think Louis drove. He would put his hand up for that. Yeah. Oh, actually, and also like we were on the Autobahn and the back door of the van blew open and everyone's like luggage went everywhere. You know, and the cars are going like 200 kilometers an hour and we had to run into the road and get the bags. I remember funny things. I always remember like the really small moments. I don't really remember gigs, but I'll remember like a sweet thing someone said, you know, or a nice interaction with a local person or something. Yeah.
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 Very nice.
Yeah.
And to finish it all up, if you're a cocktail, what cocktail would you be or what cocktail would describe your life right now? On the theme of Bevs with Celebs.
That's a great question. I don't know many cocktails.
If you could invent one, what would it be?
If I could invent a cocktail, probably something I would drink on tour a bit, which is you get like a tequila and you put a Barocca in it and then you crush up a Panadol.
Wow.
Because it sort of hits everything you need for the gig.
What is it, like tequila for a bit of a buzz, Panadol to...
Just you're always a little bit sick on tour. You just always take a bit of Panadol. And then a Barocca just, you're probably low in B vitamins.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And I don't know what it would be called. But that's the cocktail.
What would the garnish be?
Probably like a really dry sliver of carrot because that's like a tour food. There's always dry carrot everywhere.
Why?
I don't know.
Dry carrot? Like raw carrot?
Yeah.
That's so random. Do you mean like backstage?
Backstage.
Like
or like in the lounge at the airport. You know the Virgin Lounge. There's always like dry carrot.
I can't say I've been there. I'm usually
Okay, this is like a
never
tour
in the
thing.
lounge.
Yeah, they have very dry carrot.
Dry
I feel
carrot.
like there's a lot of dry carrot that I notice now. I don't see it much.
That is crazy. I can't say I've ever seen that.
Yeah, there you go.
Never.
Keep a lookout.
I will. But thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Lauren.
Thanks for watching and talk to you next time.
Nice.
Thanks for listening to Bevs with Celebs. If you want more, check out last week's episode where I spoke to ARIA Award-winning songwriter and rapper Illy, or head to our socials at Bevs with Celebs. Stay tuned for next week's episode where I speak to fashion influencer Amy Morgan. And if you want to hear more from Nick, I've linked his music in the show notes. Cheers!